Welcome to On to Better Things, the Portland Chapters. I'm your host, Frank Culbertson, and this is the podcast that looks back at wrestlers who came through the Portland sports arena on their way to bigger stages. From early stops to unforgettable moments, we tell the stories of how Portland helped shape wrestling history and the names who moved on to leave their mark across the world. In September of 1978, a young, articulate, and athletic wrestler named Lanny Holiday arrived in Portland. Fans would later know him by his real name, Lanny Poffo, the leaping poet and the brother of Macho Man Randy Savage. But in those days, he was still sharpening his craft. Lanny's Portland debut came on September 15, 1978. He quickly racked up wins over Kurt Von Steiger, Denny Alberts, Buck Zumhofe, Coco Samoa, and Ricky Hunter. One of his more unusual moments came when he and Zumhofe teamed up for a handicap match and beat Roddy Piper. Poffo stayed in Portland for exactly 6 months. As his run wound down, his father Angelo Poffo came to the territory for a short stint, helping Lanny finish up and even joining him on the drive back to Nashville. In interviews, Lanny recalled the trip fondly, saying, "It was fun for him to return to Portland. He helped me drive back to Nashville. As it turned out, it was a hazardous trip with ice, snow, and mountains." Lanny went on to have a solid WWE career, first as Leaping Lanny, known for his poetry and athleticism, and later as the Genius, one of wrestling's most memorable characters. His brother, of course, became one of the greatest of all time. Poffo passed away unexpectedly in 2023, but Portland fans remember the early spark of a man who always carried himself with class. For wrestling fans, J.J. Dillon is synonymous with strategy, composure, and control, the mastermind behind the Four Horsemen. But before that, Dillon spent time inside the ring, wrestling around the country, and yes, even in Portland. In March of 1983, J.J. Dillon appeared for Don Owens' promotion. He wrestled in Eugene and Portland on back-to-back nights, losing to Stan Stasiak in Eugene and to Chris Adams in Portland. It wasn't a long stay. Dillon was gone as quickly as he came, but it was enough to make Oregon one more stop on a career that touched nearly every state in the country. He reportedly once said he had hoped to wrestle in all 50 states, and although it's unclear if he achieved it, Portland definitely checked another box. Years later, Dillon would return to Oregon in late 1980s during the brief Crockett-Owen collaboration. He didn't wrestle then, but sharp-eyed fans could spot him in the background, quietly observing, as always, one of wrestling's most respected minds. Finally, we turn to Al Tomko, one of the most unique figures connected to the Northwest. Tomko was a journeyman wrestler, a promoter, and a businessman. He first appeared in Portland under the name Leroy Hirsch in 1969, losing to Mac McFarland. He would return again in 1980, this time under his real name, losing to Joe Lightfoot by disqualification. It was in Vancouver where Al Tomko made his biggest mark. Taking over the territory from Sandor Kovacs and later Gene Kaninsky in the late 1970s, Tomko ran All-Star Wrestling for more than a decade. While the overall quality of the promotion eventually declined, the territory still produced memorable moments and colorful storylines that fans still remember to this day. Outside the ring, Tomko launched a pet products company after a near tragedy with his own dog, creating safer treats and accessories. A rare example of a wrestler turned inventor. Tomko wrestled until 1989 and passed away in 2009, remembered as one of the Northwest's most unusual and resilient characters. Three very different stories to close out this journey. Lanny Poffo, the poetic prodigy whose Portland days came before national fame. J.J. Dillon, the future manager of the Four Horsemen, who added Oregon to his long list of territories. And Al Tomko, the promoter and personality who shaped, and sometimes bewildered, the Vancouver and Portland scenes alike. These stories mark the final chapter of On to Better Things, the Portland Chapter, a series that's explored the wrestlers who came through Portland on their way to greater heights. But as every wrestling fan knows, not everyone left. Some stayed. Some became icons of the territory itself, beloved heroes, and unforgettable villains. That's where our next series begins. Coming soon, Northwest favorites, the heart of Portland wrestling, the fan favorites, and the fierce rivals who defined an era. We'll look at the names who made Portland their home, who headlined sports arena week after week, and whose legacies still echo through the history of Northwest wrestling. This entire series has been based on the Encyclopedia of Portland Wrestlers by historian Mike Rogers, available now on Amazon. I'm your host, Frank Culbertson, and this has been On to Better Things, the Portland Chapters. Thank you for listening and joining me next time as we begin a brand new journey through Northwest favorites, the heart of Portland wrestling.